Good afternoon, metalheads, and welcome to another edition of Metal Sanctuary. And today we'll be discussing the top 10 albums released in 1987. Unfortunately, before I begin this list, we have to mourn the loss of another one of our metal brothers. Laurel Dane from Nevermore and Sanctuary passed away Tuesday night due to a heart attack. I've done a debate with Buddy Porter on the top 5 Nevermore records. Nevermore is also in my top 10 bands that never released a bad record. Me personally, I take this loss pretty hard because Laurel Dane's lyrical style and his style of vocals really resonated with me just because of how deeply passionate you could hear the lyrics coming out of his voice. Just a very sad day for the metal community, and we definitely send our thoughts and prayers to the Dane family and to his current and former bandmates and to all the Nevermore fans around the world. Cheers, Laurel. We'll miss you. Now, getting back into the list. So 1987, a lot like 1986, a lot of good records come out. Not only Laurel Dane's band that he reignited after the breakup of Nevermore Sanctuary, they released Refuge Denied in 1987, good record. It's among a few that I have that did not make the top 10. Some of my others that did not make the top 10, Armored Saints, Raising Fear, Celtic Frost, Into the Pandemonium, Death Angel, their debut, The Ultraviolence, great record, Exodus, The Pleasures of the Flesh, and Voivod, Killing Technology. Now, as you can see, those are 5 really good records, so we can only imagine how great the top 10 is going to be. So let's start off at number 10 with DRI Crossover, a hardcore thrash crossover band. Really kind of honed in on a lot of the hardcore elements of shorter songs and stuff like that, but with a really good thrash attitude. Love DRI. Number 9, the second record from Overkill, Taking Over. Probably going to get a lot of flack from my buddy Ron for how low I have them on this list, but I have a lot of great records on here. At number 8, Sepultura Schizophrenia, their second full-length record, and the first record to include Andres Kisser on lead guitar. Still staying quite in that early stage of being kind of a proto-death metal type band before they would eventually evolve into thrash and then eventually evolve once more into more of a groove metal. At number 7, my personal favorite Anthrax record, Among the Living. At number 6, another debut, this time from Testament, The Legacy. Chuck Billy comes into the band right after the departure of Steve Zetro Souza, who would go on into Exodus. And these are all songs that were written prior to Chuck's appearance in the band. You can hear some demos of this with Zetro on vocals, and I really think that Chuck really makes these songs work a whole lot better. I love both vocalists, by the way. At number 5, we get a Doom selection. Saint Vitus, Born Too Late, one of my favorite Doom albums. At number 4, we continue with the Doom, and my personal favorite from this band, Candlemass, Nightfall. We introduced for the first time in the lineup Messiah on vocals. Personally, my favorite era, even though Candlemass has never made a bad record and they haven't had a bad vocal performance on a record. At number 3, another debut, this time from the Almighty Death, Scream Bloody Gore. This was a record, really before I ever got really into death metal. I picked this up probably about 17 years ago, and just from the look of the cover, I knew it would probably be something I was into. The heaviest thing I was really into at that time was thrash, but once I heard this, there's no going back. I had to get more involved with listening to death, and I think probably the last time that a band, me listening to their first record for the first time and being the first record that I listened to of the band, whether it was recent or had to go back some years, probably the last time I was really, really thoroughly impressed with a band that just kind of gave me that wow factor. At number two, Dio, Dream Evil. A lot of people would probably put this as the number one Dio record. Obviously, the first few records are all pretty good, but I think he really starts kind of going away from what he did off the first three or four records. We, a little bit of a different lineup. At number two, or excuse me, at number one, we have King Diamond, Abigail. This is probably regarded as one of the top two, if not the number one, King Diamond solo record. I happen to like a couple other ones better than this one, but it definitely he starts honing in on the complete storytelling of a record, a full concept album, and just shows his ability to tell stories. So there's my top 10. I hope you enjoyed it. Love to see what your top 10 is. Once again, rest in peace, Worrell.